Hello there guys, Alex here, bringing you part 4 of What If Deku Had Cataclysm. So, before I continue, I want to make an announcement. Thank you again for the support. I see that a lot of you are interested in this series, and if you want me to continue it like immediately with me and Ed, 5,000 views, 800 likes in the next 24 hours. I've seen the numbers. I know you guys can do something like that. So in this case, yeah, we'll continue immediately. If not, I'll just post something else, whatever Ed feels like. And also, currently, I have a Patreon open currently right now. In this case, if you want to see the What If Deku Had the Archer class card earlier, it's actually posted there, so you can actually watch it. Patreon would be in the link and a description, the link in the description. So in this case, without further ado, let's begin. Where we last left off, Izuku woke up in Recovery Girl's office, remembering the events that transpired at the SJ. He was panicking, but he couldn't move due to pain. He was tearing up as he remembered that he used his cataclysm on a living being. He placed his hands on his face as he started to cry, breaking down even more. He cried and cried as he remembered Shigaraki's voice telling him during the SJ. At that point, Izuku was crying uncontrollably, wondering if his words were true, but a hand was patting him on the head, bringing him out from his funk. The person saying, "Hey kitty, I can tell you aren't yourself. Do you want to talk about it?" Izuku, with tears still in his eyes and surprised, would say, Jiro, why are you here?" Hiding under the blankets, would say, "I don't want you to see me like this." Jiro, concerned, would say, "Izuku, I want to help you. You know that you can tell me anything. So please, Izuku, talk to me." Izuku, peeking from the blanket, would say, I'm not ready." Jiro saying, "Is it regarding what you wanted to say that day when the alarm went off? If so, I understand." Jiro was cut off by the door sliding open, revealing 5 individuals: Nezu, All Might, Aizawa, Bandaged Up, Recovery Girl, and Izuku's doctor, which we will call Tsukasa. Nezu saying, "It seems Izuku has company." Dr. Tsukasa would say, "Well, good for him. But we have important matters to discuss, so miss, if you could wait outside, that would be much appreciated." Jiro complied and exited the room, but her curiosity got the better of her, and she inserted her earphone jack into the wall. In the nurse's office, Dr. Tsukasa is concerned, and he questioned Izuku while the others just listened. Dr. Tsukasa would say, "Izuku, it has been a while, and you've grown since last time, and according to Principal Nezu, All Might, and Miss Raizawa, you have been socializing lately, so tell me, how do you feel?" Izuku, calming down with tears still in his eyes, would say, Izuku, looking down, would say, "I feel miserable. Why was I born this way?" Dr. Tsukasa, frowning, saying, "There's no real answer on why. It's just the way it is. And don't feel miserable, because it's not worth it. But tell me, why do you feel miserable?" Izuku saying, "Doc, I did it again. I used my cataclysm on a living person. Why am I even here? I should have gone to TARDIS for what I did to my own mother, and now even more so, because I used it with the intent of killing someone." Dr. Tsukasa would say, "Oh, Izuku, if I remember correctly, it was your first time awakening cataclysm that brought to the events of you running away. Am I correct?" Izuku nodded. Dr. Tsukasa would say, "So tell me, why exactly did you have that intent of killing this person, and what made you do it?" Izuku saying, "Because he was the one hurting Aizawa, and I... Dr. Tsukasa would say, "And you saved him." Izuku saying, "What? No, Aizawa, speaking up, although somewhat muffled, would say, "Izuku, just shut up and drop it. I saw and heard some of the events that transpired. Even in that messed up state I was in, heroes, if needed, they must do what they have to do in order to save a life. If that means killing a villain, so be it. But Izuku, what did that hand-covered villain say to you?" Izuku gulped and hid under the blankets, saying, He said something about me being like him. asking me why I was in a hero school, because with a quirk like mine, is not fit for being a hero, and that I should join him instead. All Might, visibly concerned, would say, "And what did you tell him?" Izuku saying, "I told him to shut up, and I demanded to know how dare he hurt my friends, but he said, who would want to be friends with someone like me? And the only reason that you are near me, it's because you're using me." As Izuku started to tear up. Everyone hearing this was shocked. Izuku sobbing would say, "And that's not all. I also think on the words Momo said that day, and they just make me feel worse. Even Mineta's puns, that also hurt." Everyone except for All Might were confused. Nezu, confused, would say, "What words did she say?" All Might saying, "Allow me to explain, Principal." All Might explains the scene where Momo called out Izuku during the Heroes vs. Villain exercise, and saying, "And that's what happened." Nezu saying, "And what about the pun?" Aizawa saying, "That I can answer," explaining what happened during the bus ride. And that's all. Nezu, perplexed and sighing, saying, "Well, Doctor, what do you think we should do with Izuku? Should he still attend school, or should we take him out from the course?" Dr. Tsukasa would say, "To be completely honest, there are only two outcomes. The first, you let him in, attend school as per usual. You tell his classmates about the scoop with Izuku, hoping that that mental block he has disappears before he reaches adult age, which will be harder to get rid of if he doesn't." Nezu saying, "What about the second option?" Dr. Tsukasa would say, "Well, that one is rather simple. You take him out of school and out of the society itself, and let him do as he pleases," which is basically what he was doing prior to All Might's intervention, living like a stray cat, eating from dumpsters, etc. All Might interrupting him, saying, "No, I will not allow that. He deserves more than just that, and he has potential to be a great hero." As the adults spoke about Izuku, Izuku on the other hand spoke up. Izuku saying, "All Might, I have a question that has been bothering me for years." All Might, confused, would say, "Well, speak up, boy. What's on your mind?" Izuku tearing up, Why did you bring me to the hospital all those years ago? I was literally an alley cat running away from everyone and from everything. Why? I don't get it. You could have left me there. Why didn't you?" All Might, sitting on a chair next to him, would say, "I can go on and on with the list of reasons for saving a 10-year-old child, but I know for a fact that if I didn't save you back then, the hero you strive to be would have never existed, and the world needs more heroes like you." Izuku, confused and sobbing, would say, "I don't get it, All Might. What makes me so special?" All Might, giving him a soft and genuine smile, would say, "You know, there are stories about every hero and on how they become great. Most have one thing in common. Their bodies moved before they had a chance to think, as if almost on their own. Does it ring any bells?" At that point, Izuku looked at All Might with wide eyes as tears swelled up even more. Izuku started to have flashbacks of the day he met All Might, giving him the confirmation of All Might's words being true. He ignored his pain and he hugged All Might while crying out loud. Nezu, smiling, would say, "I guess we'll go with the first option then." Dr. Tsukasa would say, "Well, in that case, we can discuss some details elsewhere." Recovery Girl kissed Izuku and healing his injured body. Recovery Girl would say, "Now, Izuku, rest up before you go to your dorm room." Izuku nodded, and everyone was about to go out the door, but Nezu stops. Nezu saying, "Oh, and before I forget, Izuku, classes will resume next week due to the villain's infiltration, and afterwards, there will be the sports festival coming up, so you better be in top condition for it. And I will personally speak with your classmates and explain to them how things are, without telling them in full detail about your situation, so you don't have to worry about things, okay?" Izuku thanked Nezu, and he lay there on the bed, at ease and with newfound determination, but his thoughts were interrupted by Jiro that entered as soon as the adults walked out. Izuku was caught completely off guard by her hugging him tightly. Izuku, confused, would say, Jiro, what are you doing?" Jiro, breaking away from the hug, would say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of got carried away there after hearing all that." Izuku, confused, would say, "Did Nezu tell you already?" Jiro, embarrassed, would say, "No, I used my earphone jack to listen in. I'm sorry, I was curious, and now I can understand where are you coming from and why Katsuki was always overreacting, basically giving the impression that two of you were joined to the hip, but you'll have me too, so you don't have to hide anything. Izuku was a bit confused. Jiro, blushing, would say, what I meant to say is, you don't have to hide anything unless you want to, and... Jiro was caught off by Izuku hugging her. She hugged back, and she patted his head, giving him the reassurance he needed, and he started to purr. Jiro, still embracing him, would say, do you think we should stop? You normally don't like it when you purr. Izuku, purring, would say, no, just a little bit longer. The two embraced. A few more moments, and then Jiro had to leave. Meanwhile, Dr. Tsukasa and Nezu went to a more private setting, or rather Nezu's office. Nezu saying, so what did you want her to talk about, Doctor? Dr. Tsukasa would say, I was thinking, compared to back then, he's changed quite a bit. He seems to be willing to socialize a lot more than I remember. Nezu saying, indeed, he is. Apparently staying with the people his age is helping him a lot more than expected. The doctor would say, well, they do say that school drama helps to develop one's personality, and I for one should second that theory. Nezu saying, you mean to say puberty is kicking in? The doctor saying, what do you mean? Nezu saying, to be honest, he wanted to know about a certain girl which ended up in his class. The doctor saying, that's great, who is she? Nezu frowning saying, apparently the same one that said all those things to him during All Might's class. The doctor saying, I see. Well, in that case, I'd say that Izuku will benefit along by being around people his age. People that he can trust, like that firecracker from back then. Did he make any particular friendships yet? Nezu saying, let me think. No, not really, but I've heard from his teachers that he has been interacting fine with them, and also fancying Miss Yagirozu from day one. Dr. Tsukasa would say, in that case, let's do something different. Make his classmates join the dorms, so that they hang out more with Izuku. Nezu saying, it will actually be beneficial for both Izuku and his classmates, for the fact that the villains violate UA grounds, and we can keep a closer eye on the students. Dr. Tsukasa would say, I guess now that he wants to socialize and interact more with his fellow classmates, instead of having to interact unwillingly, I'd say now is the opportune moment. Nezu saying, but wouldn't it be chaotic if he starts telling people about his incident? Dr. Tsukasa would say, that's why I'll be coming once a month to check up on him. How does that sound? Nezu saying, it sounds good. I'll go ahead and make preparations. Time skip to the day of the sports festival. Momo still hasn't apologized, for she didn't find an opportune moment to do so. During this time skip, Nezu spoke to Class 1A explaining about Izuku's situation, everything except about his mother's death, which made everyone feel like they fucked up. But in Momo's case, she actually felt terrible, and each day that passed, it made it harder for her to face Izuku. The one that was surprisingly comprehensive with Izuku was Todoroki. Izuku still interacts with everyone except Momo because Jiro and Bakugo wouldn't allow her to get close to Izuku. Momo is not a total bitch. She is simply awkward, for the simple fact it's the first time that she had to apologize to someone, and everyone else is not making it easy for her. Izuku and Jiro have been getting along perfectly, and she also enrolled in the dorms with a few others, so that they can have some more time to hang out, which they use on studying music, or in this case, Jiro teaches Izuku how to read music sheets, while Izuku tutors her with school stuff. She finally realizes that Izuku is smart as fuck, and Izuku started to call Jiro by her first name, Kyoka. In the waiting area for the beginning of the sports festival, everything happens as in the anime, but instead of declaration of war, it was more friendly and not so intense, for the fact that Izuku is in a frail state of mind. He might get all cowardly again. In the stadium, Midnight made the announcements, which is broadcasted on TV worldwide, and she calls Izuku to make the student pledge, since he got the top score at the entrance exams. Izuku very nervously would say, hello, I just wanted to say, let's do our best, meow, while making a cute Neko pose. Everyone in the audience, and students, mostly females, roared in excitement, especially for seeing a cat boy, and a timid one to boot. Izuku was pretty nervous, and with the corner of his eye, he saw the big three holding a sign that said "Go Izuku" on it, embarrassing even more. Midnight announced the first event, which is the obstacle race. The students got ready, and the sports festival began. To make the obstacle race incredibly short, Todoroki in first place, Bakugo in second, Izuku in third, and then everyone else. After that, Midnight announced the second event, the cavalry battle. Excited for this event, a pink-haired girl approached Izuku and his team to see if they could allow her to be part of it. She presented herself as Mei Hatsume, but seeing on how many loose screws she had, Katsuki said no. So she bothered someone else. And to make this event short, these are the teams that move on to the final round. First, Todoroki, Ida, Momo, Kaminari. Second, Izuku, Bakugo, Jiro, and Mina. Third, Kirishima, Shiro, Ochako, and Tokoyami. Fourth, Shinso, Ojiro, Aoyama, and Nerengeki. Ojiro and Nerengeki, as in the original, they resign, and Ibara and Tetsutetsu take their place. The people that are going into the next round have drawn lots to see who fights who. Izuku versus Shinso, Todoroki versus Shiro, Ibara versus Kaminari, Jiro versus Aoyama, Mina versus Ida, Momo versus Tokoyami, Kirishima versus Tetsutetsu, Uraraka versus Bakugo. And then they go to take a break, so that the ones that didn't pass still get the chance to show off their abilities. In the cafeteria, Katsuki, Izuku, Mina, and Jiro went to eat at a table. Katsuki was still sore from getting second place by a 1,000 point difference. Izuku was being positive about it, and Jiro seconded him. Katsuki was still moody about it, but Mina had a smirk on her face. Mina smirking, so, Kyoka, I hear that you have been spending a lot of time with Izuku ever since you moved into the dorms. Is it true? Jiro saying, yeah, so what? Besides, others from our class moved in as well. Can I spend time with a friend? Mina, raising an eyebrow, would say, it all depends on what you do. Izuku saying, we pretty much study, do homework, and play music, and spend a lot of time together. Why? Why is that wrong? Mina saying, study? Homework? Who in their right mind would study? Especially when there's so much more to do, huh? Jiro, confused, would say, like what? Mina whispers in Jiro's ear, making her blush. Jiro blushing, saying, what are you thinking? It's not like that. Mina, confused, would say, I mean, aren't the two of you going out? Katsuki, snapping out of his funk, would say, was going out with who? Mina, gesturing at Izuku and Jiro, saying, them. Katsuki looked at the two suspiciously. Jiro, blushing, would say, it's not like that. We're just friends. The best of friends. Izuku, nonchalant, would say, yeah, she's right. I got an idea. We can make a study group sometime. Jiro, smirking, saying, yeah, I heard that Mina's grades are almost rock bottom. As she looks to Mina, saying, I'm so surprised on how you managed to pass with the written portion of the entrance exam. Mina saying, with anime tears, you didn't have to bring that up. They all laughed, but Ojiro walked up to Izuku. Ojiro saying, Midoriya, may I speak with you? Izuku saying, oh, hey Ojiro, come sit with us. Ojiro saying, I already ate. I just wanted to warn you about your opponent, Shinso. Don't answer any of his questions, nor try to provoke him, the same way you did with Todoroki and Tokoyami during All Might's lesson. He'll use that and brainwash you, or control you, or something along those lines. Izuku saying, so I need to stay quiet? Ojiro saying, yes, no matter what. Izuku thanked Ojiro, and Ojiro went to get some food. In the stadium, once the students had a chance to rest up, they returned to the stadium, where Midnight was waiting for them, so that she can announce the final round, the 1v1 tournament. Just to keep things simple and short, round 1, Izuku vs Shinso. Izuku wins, although with Shinso provoking Deku in the most brutal way, which made him almost use his Cataclysm in anger, but instead of using it on Shinso, he destroyed the ground underneath. Todoroki vs Shiro. Todoroki wins as in the anime. Ibara vs Kaminari. Ibara wins as in the anime. Jiro vs Aoyama. Jiro wins versus Aoyama. Mina vs Ida. Mina wins versus Ida. Momo vs Tokoyami. Tokoyami wins as in the anime. Kirishima vs Tetsutetsu. They tie, and Kirishima wins with the arm wrestle. Uraraka vs Bakugo. Bakugo wins versus Ochako, but in a less brutal manner. Round 2. Izuku vs Todoroki. Todoroki wins as in the anime. At first, Todoroki doesn't want to use his flames, but Izuku convinces him as in the anime. Ibara vs Jiro. Jiro wins after a long battle. Mina vs Tokoyami. Tokoyami wins as in the anime. And Bakugo vs Kirishima. Bakugo wins as in the anime. So in the semi-finals, Jiro vs Todoroki. Jiro surrenders, so she won't deal with Todoroki. Bakugo vs Tokoyami. Bakugo wins as in the anime. And the finals, Bakugo vs Todoroki. This fight happens similar to the anime, but Todoroki ends up using his flames and manages to almost win, but just like the anime, Bakugo wins. And the award ceremony happens, similar as in the anime, but with the exception of Jiro sharing the third place spot with Tokoyami. After the medals award ceremony ends in Nezu's office, Nezu went to his office to do some paperwork to see who got the most internships and sorting them out for the students. But the phone rang and Nezu answered. As the person would start speaking up, Nezu would say, "I see, and where are you from?" As the person would speak, Nezu, surprised, would say, "From Paris, you say? Quite an unusual request if you ask me. Unfortunately, I cannot allow him to go, especially in a country where he can't speak the language." The person speaking up, Nezu saying, if that were the case, sure, we'll make some preparations. See you then, have a good evening." Nezu smiled and continued his paperwork. Time skipped to a few days later. Izuku and Jiro walked to class. Ever since Jiro started to live at the dorms, instead of waiting for Katsuki, they simply walked there on their own time. After some idle chit-chat, puns, and jokes later, Jiro and Izuku arrived in class, only to find out that they were the last ones there. Aizawa, sarcastically and rolling his eyes, would say, "Oh, look what the cat dragged in," to Izuku and Jiro, saying, "You sure took your sweet time coming to class." Izuku rubbing the back of his head, saying, "Sorry, Aizawa-sensei. You see..." Aizawa facepalming, saying, "Typical Izuku. What's the point? Miss Jiro, since it's your first time being late, you're off the hook, so take your seats and open your ears." The two nodded and went to their seats. Aizawa saying, "As I was trying to say, since you guys participated in the sports festival, Pro Heroes had the chance to scout the lot of you out and allowing you to intern with them, which could be helpful later down the line when you graduate from here and are looking for jobs. Now take a look over here," showing the results of the internships. Mina saying, "What the fuck is that? That's not fair. Why did they get the most offers?" Aizawa grunting, saying, "Thank you, Miss Ashido, but your reaction wasn't necessary." Mina rubbing the back of her head, saying, "Oh, sorry." Aizawa saying, "Moving on, as Miss Ashido pointed out, yes, Todoroki, Bakugo, Izuku, and Yaoyorozu got the most offers, although during the past years, the offers were more spread out equally with the students. This year was something entirely different and unexpected. And before I forget, Izuku, Principal Nezu wants to see you regarding a particular internship. Apparently someone from overseas wanted you to intern with them." Izuku saying, "Me? Why? How? Does it mean I have to move away?" Aizawa saying, "Does it look like I know? Principal Nezu simply told me that he received a phone call while he was sorting out the paperwork, and according to him, they should be in his office right about now." Izuku nervously would say, "And where are they from?" Aizawa saying, "If I'm not mistaken, Principal Nezu said something about France." Nezu, through the speaker, would say, "Izuku Midoriya, please report to the principal's office immediately. I repeat, Izuku Midoriya, please report to the principal's office immediately." Aizawa saying, "Speak of the devil, you heard him." Izuku nodded and reported to Nezu's office. Once there, he knocked on the door. Nezu saying, "Come in." Izuku walked into the office, only to see Nezu speaking to a beautiful young lass that could be in her early 20s. Nezu saying, Izuku, this young lass from Paris over here was interested in you after your performance in the sports festival." Izuku, confused, would say, "Really? Why would someone from another country would want to give me an internship? I'm nothing special." Nezu, shocked, would say, "Izuku, don't say that," as the individual would be walking towards Izuku and placing a hand on his cheek, as the person would say, "Oh, Mino, it seems you've had it rough, didn't you?" Izuku, feeling nostalgic, would say, How do you, as the individual would say, oh me no, your eyes tell me all I need to know. But I guess introductions are a must. My name is... and to be continued. So in this case, I hope you guys like this video. I hope you like this part. And in this case, who is that person Izuku just met? Find out in the next part. And also, all of you guessed wrong. I sort of got all of you fucking guessed wrong in the previous parts. Schmucks. Anyways, like I said, if you want to, hear this part, well, hear another part for this one, 5,000 views, 800 likes in 24 hours. Yeah, well, I want to see if you guys can do it. Bite me. In any case, the schedule would be rearranged for a moment. I'll see what we can upload. And in this case, also, I see that a certain percentage of you are not subscribed. So, again, please consider subscribing, for more quality content. Me and Ed are trying our best. And currently, I have not gotten back from that job interview. Oof. Well, I hope you guys liked the video. And I hope you have a good day or good night. Peace.